which is prone to calamity. Maybe that's being a bit too over the top, but they do make a few errors. Is that an opportunity where the Phoenix can capitalise?
Absolutely. I believe they're the highest team in terms of 13 errors that have led to goal-scoring opportunities. You know, so that's a massive opportunity for the Knicks to come in. I think if they can look to press high, look to turn over that ball, then I think there's definitely opportunity to steal some chances and get a few opportunities on goal.
Up the other end, though, Joshi Sotirio coming back home. Is he going to haunt them with his pace?
I hope not, but you know, he is a quality player. He's shown it time and time again here at Sky Stadium. I'm sure the fans would like to see him put on a show, but hopefully not pick up a goal or two.
Geez, it's been so long since we've been at Sky Stadium, almost 6 weeks to the day, but the Knicks are back. It's a double-header. Later on, the women take on the Brisbane Roar. Up first, it's the men against the Newcastle Jets. The Jets, it's their first time here since January 2020. Up next, we'll chat more about Oscar Zavada and the Poles' goals. Stay with us. Welcome back into Sky Stadium. It's a Phoenix doubleheader. The women up against the Roar from 540. Revenge for that 3-3 draw a month ago is on the line. But first, it's the men against the Newcastle Jets, where we're likely to see the Pole score another goal, because he's been doing it all season long. Well, maybe not all season long. Jacob Spoonley, Annalie Longo with us as we count down to kickoff. Oscar, he's the fourth fastest, Jacob, to score 10 goals in Knicks history. What's the main difference between early season Oscar Zavada and present day one?
Well, you're right. He didn't score goals early on. He went 5 games without scoring or contributing to the goals. I think it's familiarity. He got used to the league. You often hear imports say it takes a time, it takes a period to adjust, and his team was adjusting to him as well. I think what he's done is he's brought variety to the Phoenix game. We know that Ufuk Tale's teams like to control the ball, they like to build it through midfield, and opponents have at times congested that space. What Tale has provided is a presence in the box. So if that space in the middle is congested, they can go wide. They can get it into the likes of the dangerous Callan Elliott, who's created 11 chances and 4 assists so far this season, and they can look to find this physical presence in the box that has got Nelson takes up such dangerous positions, Annalie.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. I think what I like about him is he's a little bit unpredictable. You know, obviously he can score some quality goals with his head, 3 goals this season, but I think also, you know, he's a quality player in terms of his size. He can bring the ball down and he has got pace as well. So for me, he's an all-round player and he brings players into the game well, and he's a finisher. You know, 10 goals and he's on form and he's dangerous for the Knicks.
And this is the second aspect that he brings to the Wellington Phoenix. So if you can't go round them, go over the top. He hangs on shoulders and he allows the Phoenix to go front to back very quickly. And once he's beyond the defence, his pace and power makes him so hard to defend.
And the other thing we need to consider is that we lost Ben Waine, somebody who we were going to be relying on goals before he went off to Plymouth Argyle. It's so good, Jacob, that we've got this pole and he's scoring goals and he's helping this Phoenix team achieve great things.
He is. For me, he's probably one of the best imports under Tale, and that is a very high bar considering you're competing with the likes of Uli Devere.
Well, look, goals for Zavada and Phoenix, they are not guaranteed today. When we look at the head-to-head battle, Annalie, between Pappas and Tale, yes, Tale has the better overall record, but when you go head-to-head, it's actually Pappas with the advantage.
Yeah, the slight advantage. I think the frightening stat for me, or the one that Phoenix should be concerned about, is 13 goals conceded for Pappas' team against the Knicks. So for me, that's probably the concerning stat there.
Yeah, and I suppose it's almost like 3-1 on average right across those fixtures, and that's exactly what happened back in round 3. Jacob, it was a bit of a first-half blitz from the Newcastle Jets way back then.
And that's what this team has the ability to do. They can go forward quickly and fluid, and they can add numbers when they are attacking. So that's going to be a danger for Ufuk Tale today. I think at times as well, his choice about tactics hasn't really done him any favours. He's tried to sit off to create space to counter-attack into, and that's allowed Newcastle the ability to control possession.
Yeah, I think if they can go out and step a little bit higher and press, I think, you know, we spoke about earlier in terms of the Jets, you know, providing turnovers and errors. I think that's possibly an opportunity today for the Knicks.
And I think as well, Newcastle do like to counter-press. So they do want to press the Phoenix high up the field. They want to win the ball in those advanced positions. And what the Phoenix need to do is be brave. They need to rely on Payne and Wootton to find that first pass beyond the press. And if they do that, it's going to be very profitable because there's a lot of space beyond it.
Let's try and predict what's going to happen today then, because we know that the Jets have it over the Phoenix in recent times. We also know that Becca Mikkeltadze, who's been involved in 5 goals in the last 5 games, scored 3, assisted with 2, he's unavailable. So with all things considered, put your reputation on the line, Jacob and Annalie. Who wins and why?
For me, the Wellington Phoenix come back to Wellington, and they, after a harrowing 6 weeks where we've had a cyclone, we've had flooding in Auckland, Hawke's Bay and the East Coast, they give the New Zealand footballing public something to celebrate. So I reckon Costa Barbarouses plays an influential role off the bench today. Yeah,
good to see him on the bench and hopefully gets onto the squad. For me, I am going to be similar. I'm going to go the Phoenix. I'm going to go with 2-1 win.
Slightly biased here at Sky Sport.
I like the sound of it. And what about Oscar Zavada? Can he go from 10 to 11? Is he going to score again?
I think he's going to start hunting Jeremy Brockie down, and he'll go into second in the Phoenix's all-time goal scoring.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I just want to see a good performance from the boys today and pick up those all-important 3 points.
The Phoenix is celebrating Pride Round in the A-League today, and it's great timing with both teams back home after a lengthy stint away. The women welcome Raw from 5:40, but up next, it's 5v7 on the A-League men's competition ladder. The Knicks and the Jets. It's live from Sky Stadium on Sky Sport. Don't move.
So history awaits one way or another. And he bends it. What a goal! He's done it again. Remember the name. Oh, what the finish! Wow. Oh my word!
This is just pure touch, instinct, confidence.
Western United have won the A-League Championship.
It's difficult to remember a tighter finish to an A-League men's season. With 8 rounds to play, just 10 points separate the 10 teams who are currently placed third to bottom on the A-League men's ladder. As the finish line starts to loom in the distance, every game is vital, every point is precious. If you can pick them up in clumps of 3, your progress and playoff potential takes a very positive turn. If you go too many weeks without getting results, you'll be blown past by those lurking behind you. Against that backdrop, the Phoenix return to Wellington for the first time in 6 weeks and welcome the Newcastle Jets, who haven't played here at Sky Stadium for over 3 years, but have a very good recent record against the Knicks. Plenty on the line in what could be a pivotal point in the seasons of both of these sides. Welcome in for round 19 action in the Isuzu UTE A-League men's, with the Wellington Phoenix hosting the Newcastle Jets. Right on cue, the officials lead the two teams out onto the grass at Sky Stadium. Former Phoenix and All Whites goalkeeper Jacob Spoonley alongside in co-commentary. I know you love a 6-pointer. This seems like one of those, Jake.
It is, and for me, this is all about who finds form the quickest. Newcastle unbeaten in 6 until last weekend. The Knicks finding a spark and tenacity after a mixed February. The two teams who love scoring goals take the field in the shadow of a fallen giant as the New Zealand footballing community farewells 1982 member Grant Turner.
Yep, there's a tribute planned for Grant Turner during the action today. Alex Rufer at the front there. His uncle, Winton, played alongside Grant Turner in that wonderful run to the 1982 World Cup. Players make their way out on an overcast day, but a dry one in Wellington's capital. Wellington see 2 changes to the side that played Central Coast a week ago, both in the back 4. Callan Elliott returns from suspension at right back. Lucas Moragas replaces Sam Sutton at left back. Sutton tweaked a hamstring at training yesterday. Tim Payne returns to centre back. Josh Laws drops down to the bench. But the front 6, Rufa Jugarkovic, Sas, Kraev, Ball and Zavada, unchanged. 2 changes for Newcastle. Becca Mikkeltadze has a minor injury and won't feature. He started the last 15 matches. There's a first start, though, for Japanese international Manabu Saito. There's also a return to midfield for Brandon O'Neill, his first start since New Year's Day, with Mohamed El Tay dropping down to the reserves bench. Speaking of the benches, Costa Barbarouses is back from a hamstring injury. There's also a potential debut for Wellington Phoenix and All White centre-back Nico Boxall. For the Jets, Thomas Aquilina could play for a second time in Wellington today, having arrived from the Mariners, who he featured for earlier in this season. Lucas Moragas comes up against his parent club for the first time. He's on a season-long loan from Newcastle to the Phoenix. Having started just 8 times for the Jets in the last 3 seasons, he starts for the 14th time in Wellington colours today. Josh Soterio spent the last 3 seasons with Wellington Phoenix, 14 goals and 65 appearances for the club. One of 3 players to leave Wellington for the Newcastle Jets this season. The other 2, Reno Piscopo, who's injured, and James McGarry, who is now with the Mariners. Speculation continues to swirl around the future of Phoenix coach Ufuk Talay. He seems destined to leave the club at the end of what will be his 4th season in charge. Before that, though, he's singularly focused on the next 8 games, and he hopes finals football for the 3rd time in 4 seasons with Wellington. Arthur Papas coming towards the end of his 2nd season as Newcastle's head coach. His record against Wellington, very good. 3 wins in 4 matches, 13 goals in those 4 games. This is the first time, though, he has guided his side on this side of the Tasman. Sean Evans is our referee. He controls game number 151. The first time he's been in charge of the Phoenix since they played Sydney FC in early January, when he sent 2 Phoenix players off and awarded 2 penalties, both of which Sydney FC failed to convert. Kiwis Mark Rule and Isaac Trevis as assistants. Lachlan Keever's the fourth official. Kate Jakowicz is the VAR. Dane Ingham and Ollie Sale could be All Whites teammates later in the month for matches against China. Opponents today: Japanese striker Manabu Saito with his first start. Steven Ugarkovic, we know, will leave at the end of the season. So many storylines around this match, but the 90 minutes in front of us are all that count right now. We're underway in Wellington, the quintessential A-League men's six-pointer. The Wellington Phoenix and Newcastle separated by just a solitary point and 2 places on the table, both with realistic top 6 aspirations, which remain well and truly alive. Jets have won 5 of the last 7 between the two. Victory again today would lift them into the top 6 for the first time since New Year's Day. For the Phoenix, a return to Sky Stadium for the first time in 6 weeks. They've played in Palmerston North, Melbourne, Campbelltown, Tasmania and Gosford since they were last here at Sky Stadium. Wellington looking to get onto the front foot nice and early. Joshua Soterio already has shown us an example of his pace. What sort of pattern are you expecting the game to slot into early on, Jacob?
Well, the interesting thing is that we've seen a change of formation from Arthur Pappas. Had been utilising a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 up until this point, but he shifted to a 4-4-2. So that indicates that he's going to go man for man up against Ufu Tale's 4-2-2-2. I think that is a defensive-oriented decision, and I can expect this fluid football that the Jets are famous for to continue.
2 eye-catching sides who fans of both and also fans of the A-League men's in general enjoy watching. Missing a couple of key players today. Newcastle with the aforementioned Becca Mikkeltadze and Reno Piscopo, both unavailable for this one as they nurse their respective injuries. Ugarkovic plays this one forward to Oscar Zavada. The flag has stayed down for the meantime, and Oscar Zavada shoots as the flag goes up on the far side. Would not have counted.
Well, that's an early warning shot for the Newcastle Jets. We talked about how at times the Phoenix will go front to back very quickly, looking to find Oscar Zavada, not just to hold the ball up, but to get him behind. And he's already scored twice this season and created 1 assist off the back of very similar football.
Very experienced back line for the Newcastle Jets. Carl Jenkinson and Matt Yerman are the 2 centre-backs. Jason Hoffman, who's out on the left side of the back four. Dane Ingham down at the bottom of screen in the number 2. Very familiar with this particular ground, Dane Ingham. He made his all-whites debut here back in 2017 against Fiji. Josh Soterio has remained onside, and another chance for him to use that pace. Thurgate pulls it back to the edge. Jan Suss getting back, and Ugarkovic very calmly in his own penalty area lifts it out to Elliott, and a foul by Elliott on Jason Hoffman, or it's the other way. So Hoffman's been adjudged to have committed the foul.
It did look like Kellen Elliott was second to the ball there. Can only imagine Sean Evans has seen some studs which he didn't like.
Rufer for ball in a pocket of space. Sass gets away from Hoffman. Outside him is Kellen Elliott. Into David Ball. Kellen Elliott, 2 back heels in quick succession, but they weren't buying any of it at the back there. Newcastle, Brandon O'Neill was calmly in the right position, but some eye-catching little flicks and tricks early from the Knicks.
And Jason Hoffman asking for a free kick down one end of the field, and then had to defend very quickly down the other. Lovely play from Sass and Elliott, and then Ball. Just not quite right with the calibration there of the second back heel in that move.
Soterio. He's had a good run of games in the side, Joshua Soterio. This is his 11th consecutive start. First chance to have a look at Manabu Saito over there, the Japanese international. Wellington, though, pick up the scraps through Ball. Rufa with the switch across to Lucas Moragas. Tracked all the way by Soterio. Keeps it in but loses his footing. And the Jets will have no trouble clearing.
Do wonder how the field's going to play today. Ed Sheeran rolled through here recently, and then last night an NRL match was played on the pitch.
Well, I can tell you, Jake, the turf here has been freshly laid. 10,200 square metres of new turf installed. It took 35 truck and trailer units to get it here from where it was grown in Palmerston North. And it is Hero hybrid grass, 5% artificial, protecting the natural grass, complying with FIFA requirements for the Women's World Cup here later in the year. So it is a terrific playing surface. And even the Warriors playing on it last night won't spoil that.
Jason Pine, ladies and gentlemen. Football knowledge and turf. What a combination.
That one skids off the turf and out into the hands of Arthur Pappas, who's up on his feet early in this one. Thurgate started every game for the Jets, just an ever-present presence at the base of their midfield, Angus Thurgate. Great to see Brandon O'Neill back in the starting lineup after he missed a number of games with a calf injury he suffered in training. Soterio off on another run. Is he going to hold this one? And not quite. Well, the tactic seems clear for Newcastle, and that's to utilise the pace of Joshua Soterio, and that's obviously flicked off a Phoenix player and gone behind for a corner.
Well, it's not just the pace of Joshua Soterio. You've also got to be very aware of where Trent Bahagia is. So far this season, Newcastle Jets have really exploited the space in behind a back four, and I'm sure that won't change today.
Costa Grozos on set-piece duty for Newcastle. Plenty of elevation. Back into a crowded penalty area. Bahagia almost seizing upon it. Referee seeing a bit of holding as he uses sign language to emphasise the point, Sean Evans.
Well, the Jets have only scored one goal from a corner so far this season, and that didn't look particularly dangerous. And if we can go to a wide shot, ladies and gentlemen, you can see how high the Newcastle Jets are getting. It's almost man-on-man at the back. They just do not want the Wellington Phoenix to play out.
Grozos trying to combine with Thurgate, but a little bit behind him, so Rufa picks up. Callan Elliott back from his one-game ban after picking up his 5th yellow card 2 weeks ago. He's been a solid presence on the right side of Wellington's back four, and certainly in terms of getting forward. Wharton, he goes long looking for Oscar Zavada. Ball, has the ball taken off him by Brandon O'Neill. Soterio's had plenty of touches in the first 8 minutes. Joshua Soterio getting the legs working nice and early. Grozos. Thurgate and O'Neill. The Jets get a few touches of the football. Hoffman. Sass is back, and that has come off Jan Sass for a Newcastle throw. Jason Hoffman. 31st A-League men's game against the Phoenix for Jason Hoffman. That's how long he's been around. Yeoman. Almost split the difference there between Hoffman and Bahagia. Bahagia sprinting across and doing well to keep it in. Thurgate and O'Neill again.
It's exactly the sort of chance you can't take with the speedsters around up front.
Thurgate helps it in, away by Wharton. His countryman David Ball picks it up. Cry of the Bulgarian heading out left, and Moragas takes over. And foul by a retreating Dane Ingham on Lucas Moragas.
Well, the door is shutting on Lucas Moragas there after some good work from Kraev to fend off 2 or 3 Jets. Moragas had got just the other side of Dane Ingham, but there was no danger of anyone in black and yellow getting that ball. Ingham gave the Phoenix an out. from Arthur Pappas. I am worried about how often Zavada is being targeted and then the inability of his back two to deal with those balls. Zavada has either gotten behind with too much frequency or he's been able to hold it up in a 2v1 situation.
Cleared by Wellington, but picked up by Ingham. Brandon O'Neill. Saito. Thurgate. Grozos. Tracked all the way by Lucas Moragas, who, as I previously mentioned, is on loan from this very club. He'll return to the Jets at the end of this A-League men's season.
Wasn't able to play in the first fixture of the season. Has been granted permission to participate here.
Good energy from the visitors early, driven forward by Thurgate and O'Neill from their defensive midfield roles. Hoffman's been involved early too. Saito. Faced by Elliott. Thurgate. Well, just fizzled out a bit for Newcastle as they entered the penalty area. Jan Saas is encouraged to clear it, which he just about does. Hand up there from David Ball. Sean Evans with an easy one to spot.
It'll be very encouraging for Arthur Pappas. The combination that he's seen from O'Neill and Thurgate, as you pointed out, Jason. O'Neill has missed games for the Newcastle Jets through injury. I'm sure Pappas was expecting to be able to call upon both of these sixes a lot more often throughout the course of this season.
Another chance for Newcastle to attack through Jason Hoffman, and they've won another throw on that side.
Bit of a wry smile there from Jason Hoffman as Callan Elliott felt the full effects of his intended cross.
It didn't quite work out the way it was planned between Hoffman and Grozos.
And we're just zooming out here to show the audience at home the deepest defender for the Newcastle Jets is in line with the circle around halfway. That has become a regular feature of the first 15 minutes. They know how dangerous the Wellington Phoenix are when they settle into a rhythm. They're almost playing this game entirely in the Phoenix's defensive half at time. They want to deny the space. They want to deny the possession.
By contrast, Wellington are letting Newcastle have it at the back as Ingham crosses halfway with the ball. Ufuk-Talay, you can hear his voice for our effects, I'm sure, urging his players to get up. Newcastle are in good form. They lost to Western United last weekend, snapping a 6-game unbeaten run. It's taken them to the cusp of the top 6. Moragas gets away from Soterio. Kraev. Moragas continues. Only Zavada in the area, so he pulls it back for Ball. O'Neill tracking him all the way.
This is the byproduct of having that pace up top, and Soterio and Bahadur in particular. The Phoenix are backing off, which is allowing a lot more space for Newcastle to operate in this midfield.
Once again, Newcastle happy to go back if there's no way forward down either flank. Yerman with the captain's armband for Newcastle today. Saito and Hoffman in a tight area, do well to retain possession. That's a bit of a loose pass, and Zavada just about snuck in, but Yerman was aware. Saito. What can he do, the exciting Japanese international? Dealt with by Wellington. And the crowd start to find their voice to urge the home side on.
Daningham very much trying to impress here in this 90. I'm sure Darren Basie is watching at home. He's got Callan Elliott on one side of the field and Daningham on the other. Both vying for a right-back spot in the first post-Danny Hay all-whites team.
Yeah, Nico Kerwin, as we understand it, still not able to return to play after a serious injury. So, yeah, likely to be either Elliott or Ingham who slots in at right back when the all-whites play China later in the month. We'll have it for you on Sky Sport, of course. Both of those internationals, one here and one at Eden Park. Zavada, a little flick to David Ball. He holds on to it, but needs help. Boshider Kraev helps! And helps it just over.
Well, he scored in very similar fashion against Western United. Looks to open that body up and go for the far post. Lovely play from Zavada, dropping off the line. David Ball wins the battle, finds Kraev. And he was looking for Duncan's left-hand post.
7 goals so far this season for the Bulgarian. Boshider Kraev. German rakes one into the centre forward position, aiming for Soterio. He does get a head to it. He and Bahaja are up there together, but it's dealt with for the meantime by Wellington. Saito, clever. He's kept it in over there, has he, Saito? Callan Elliott is back and gets a hand from Scott Wootton.
Lovely piece of deception there from David Ball. Small risk in that one. Knew if he let it go, it's Zavada beyond him, where he's going to win a throw-in. Give the Wellington Phoenix a moment to breathe.
Ollie Sale, we learnt yesterday, will be departing Wellington Phoenix at the end of the season, as will Stephen Ugarkovic and Clayton Lewis, currently injured. 3 players all off contract, all have decided to pursue opportunities elsewhere. Here is Ugarkovic, who had a long stint at the Newcastle Jets, of course.
Got him mic'd up in our Sky Sport pre-game, and he said he was looking forward to shutting up his former team.
135 appearances for the Jets in 5.5 seasons in the Hunter. 4th, actually, on their all-time appearance makers list. Jason Hoffman is one of those ahead of him. Here's Soterio. Ingham. Grozos slides it to Thurgate. Players come together. Bahaja with a chance. It's blocked and cleared. Best chance Newcastle have had, and it might still be there for them. Soterio is looking for Saito. Wellington having a bit of trouble clearing this. And a foul on Oscar Zavada, so we can all catch our breath.
Well, that's worrying for Ufuk Talay. The black and yellow back line parted and allowed Angus Thurgate to bear down on goal. And Ollie Sale coming up with a wonderful reactionary second save. Not sure where that was going or who was there from Newcastle Jets' point of view. Managed to scramble it away. Oscar Zavada releases the pressure valve, winning that foul.
Rufer in a tight space, finds Zavada. Takes a couple of touches to get it under Oscar Zavada.
First goal is crucial here today. The Newcastle Jets, when they have scored first, they have won 7 and drawn 1, losing none. The Wellington Phoenix, not as bad as previous seasons, but their troubles going behind, well documented.
Yes, indeed. They haven't conceded first very often this season, the Phoenix. They've actually scored the first goal 14 times. That's more than anybody else in the A-League men's. But as we've talked about often on commentary and on the Football Fix here on Sky New Zealand, the points dropped from winning positions have been a bit of a concern at times for Ufuk Talay.
A major frustration. The Wellington Phoenix, having scored first, have left 20 points on the table. And you hear whispers throughout the squad and mutters under Ufuk Talay's breath about not being able to convert goals into points, be that a draw or a win. I think the high tide mark was when they were 2-0 up against Western United and they went down 3-2.
We've reached the 20-minute mark and you'll hear the applause ringing around the ground. We'll let this play out and explain that to you. Sad news this week with the passing of one of New Zealand's first football cult heroes, Grant Turner, a driving force in the All Whites' first successful World Cup qualification campaign for Spain in '82. 42 full internationals in the 80s, 15 goals. An absolute warrior in the white shirt, normally with the number 20 on the back, and that is why here in the 20th minute the applause is ringing out. Our love and best wishes are with the friends and whānau of Grant Turner, one of our true footballing greats.
Sumner, Fallon, Rufer have all scored important goals for the All Whites, but in my opinion, Turner stands alone when he rose in Sydney to score the second against the Socceroos and set the 82 All Whites on their way. Rest in peace, mate.
You've seen that goal replayed a few times this week. You never get sick of it. Well, I'm sure some people might, but not too many on this side of the ditch. Jan Sass. David Ball with a heavy touch, allowing Ehrman to sneak in. Just making sure that everybody knew he got the ball. Great to have you with us on both sides of the Tasman, in particular those of you watching in the Hunter Valley, Newcastle fans, enjoying some lunchtime football. Another 3 matches to come today in the A-League men's. The Wanderers against the Mariners at Combank, 4 plays 3. What a game that promises to be. Western United up against Perth Glory. And Sydney FC and Melbourne Victory in a big blue later on. What a lineup.
Well, before the weekend, I do believe from second down to last, the difference was only 10 points. The difference here today between these two sides is only 8 points. So the Wellington Phoenix, this game and for the rest of the month really are going to play 6-pointers, and you're either going to separate yourselves or you're going to be seen squarely in the peloton.
Yeah,
seems to be quite determinative of how they're going to place this season.
Yeah, Adelaide United doing themselves a massive favour last night. A very impressive win over Melbourne City. That got them clear of that throng of teams from sort of second down. They've now jumped 3 points clear. So, as I said at the top, every point is precious. And these two, as we've gone past the halfway mark in the first half, are just in an arm wrestle for the points here in Wellington. Saito cuts inside, does Saito, lines it up for Grozos. It's deflected straight into the arms of Ollie Sale. Good run from Grozos and a nice pass to find him from Manabu Saito.
A lot of this is coming through the Newcastle Jets midfield. We're expecting Becca Mikkeltadze to play today, and he often plays as a false 9, starting high, coming deep. Trent Bahadu's in the centre role today, and he is part of a front three that is very high, which is allowing space to the likes of Thurgate and O'Neill.
Zavada drops deep and feeds Elliott. I'll have to recalibrate and maybe head out towards the left. Tim Payne, another who's likely to be involved in those All Whites matches against China later in the month. Quick feed in midfield, Sass and Rufer. Sass looks for Moragas. Saito is back and does very well defensively. Josh Saito nods it back to Ingham. And he does exceptionally well bringing it out of defence, Dane Ingham.
You can see Arthur Papas there just having a quiet word to Dane Ingham, asking him why he stopped. He ventured into midfield and put the brakes on, turned around, recycled the ball. Papas definitely wanted him driving into the heart of the Wellington Phoenix defence.
Joshua Saito not quite able to keep that one in. Popular figure among Phoenix fans when he was here. 65 games, 14 goals during the last 3 seasons. Joshua Saito joined at the hip most of the time with Reno Piscopo. We send you our best wishes, Reno. Hopefully you see you back here soon. Still remember that stunning goal that Reno Piscopo scored when the side returned home during COVID times.
I remember the shot from 35 yards that crashed off the crossbar against Western United to start the finals.
Newcastle continue to be patient in their build-up. That one's a bit heavy from Grossos for Saito.
Senses a bit of frustration creeping into the Wellington Phoenix's game. They're used to being in position a lot more. They're used to dominating teams by about this point in time. The Newcastle Jets are doing that to them today. You can hear Ufuk Talay talking to Crave. Don't want him to get frustrated. Keep discipline. Don't change the game plan.
Nothing too much for Jack Duncan to do in goal for the Newcastle Jets in the first 26 minutes here. Watched one from Kraev sail over, otherwise he's been relatively unemployed. Grossos. O'Neill wins the header, but only to the feet of Sass. He can't find ball. Ehrman steps in. Saito. He's going to run at Callan Elliott. Brandon O'Neill.
That's a little war of attrition. The Newcastle Jets are definitely winning it slice by slice at the moment. Not quite death by 1,000 cuts, but definitely forcing Wellington Phoenix deeper and deeper.
Yeah, terrific tactical battle going on between two of the more capable coaches going around, and Ufuk Talay and Arthur Papas. The way they set their sides up, the way they ask them to play, the way they respond to one another. Now it's Wellington's turn to be a bit patient as they don't have a way forward. Bahad just going to put pressure on Payne here, so he'll go all the way back to Sale, who's quite a way out of his penalty area. Wootton looks long. And Ballwood's the header with Ehrman through the back of him, so free kick coming the way of Wellington. Matt Ehrman pleads innocence. Once again, Wellington want to get going quickly, not willing to set anything up in terms of firing the ball into the penalty area. Elliott. Nice reverse pass for Ball. He tries to pull it back and off the shins of Ehrman and behind for Wellington's first corner of the contest.
Well, they have got the ball and they've moved it into those wide areas. They have looked dangerous. The intuitive play between Callan Elliott and David Ball is there for all to see. That time looking to pull the ball back. He had Crave at that front post, then Zavada was lurking around the penalty spot.
Jan Saas is on corners. No Clayton Lewis at the moment for Wellington. He'd normally do these. Saas delivers. It's a good delivery. Away by Ingham. Tim Payne looking for an angle to deliver it back in. Does so towards the edge. Still there. Krajev. Tight space. And it's blocked and cleared by the Newcastle Jets.
Angus Thurgoat with an important intervention there on the 18-yard box.
Ball forward for Bahagia. Is he onside? He is at the moment. It's taken a flick. And it's gone behind. It'll be a goal kick, and the assistant referee on the near side, Mark Rawle, has kept his flag down, so clearly it stayed onside. Trent Bahagia.
Well, it does look very close. He peels off the back of Steven Ugarkovic there. They're taking up a place in the back line, with the Wellington Phoenix's Tall Timber going forward for the corner. And no contact from Callan Elliott there. Goal kick it is.
122nd game in the A-League men's for Trent Bahagia today. Wellington passing that out calmly to the delight of the crowd. So they're trying to play around this high press that Newcastle are putting on them, and it's a really good contest. Saas. David Ball has got free. Zavada's in the area. Can he pull it back for Krajev? Behind for another corner. Wojciech Krajev was calling for it on the edge of the penalty area.
And that's the arm wrestle, ladies and gentlemen. The Wellington Phoenix showing bravery and crispness in their passing, playing around Newcastle and then breaking the line. And once you do get beyond this initial press, there is so much space. David Ball again peeling off shoulders, looking for Krajev on that cutback. But that, to me, today is the game, Jason.
Second corner in quick succession for Wellington. Sean Evans wants to have a word to the players assembled around the penalty spot. I think Matt Yearman and Oscar Zavada might have been having a word or two to one another.
The captain's eventually playing peacemaker there. Well, Sean Evans has seen something here, and it looks to be in the direction of Matthew Yearman, so he's going to have sharp eyes on whatever's going on inside the 18-yard box. And Phoenix fans will know Sean Evans is not scared of calling a penalty.
Isaac Travis is just blocking things at the moment. Now he's happy. Sean Evans is happy. We can get on with it. Saas. Another good delivery, but Duncan gets a good right fist to it and then claims the rebounds. Probably didn't quite get the distance. He was after Jack Duncan, but was happy to rise and claim it when it came down. Rufer looks to get the 1-2, and Yearman, he thought, went through the back of him. He stayed down, Oscar Zavada. Matt Yearman walks away completely disinterested, as is Sean Evans. Oscar Zavada has stayed down.
Ufuk Talli standing there, arms wide open in disbelief about how that wasn't given a free kick. Be interesting to see, get a replay at some point to see if there was contact. Zavada up and walking now, so it can't have been that serious.
That will be a running battle. Matt Yearman and Oscar Zavada today. One of the very best at scoring goals this A-League season against a guy who's been preventing them at the other end for 189 A-League men's matches, and Matt Yearman.
Well, the criticism has been that Yearman and Jenkinson don't necessarily provide the most resolute combination in the A-League. And when you factor in Jack Duncan, who's shown a vulnerability off crosses and under the high ball, which we saw in that corner, at times Newcastle have given away goals they simply shouldn't have.
They both conceded the same number, these two teams, both with 27 goals conceded so far this season. That happened right in front of the Wellington bench, and Ufuk Talli and others want to know whether there's going to be any further sanction here. Tim Payne stayed down, and there will be a sanction for Trent Bahagia. It's a yellow card.
Well, yellow fever have long memories. Could hear the murmuring increasing. Now the chant for VAR goes up.
Fourth yellow card of this season for Trent Buhaja. Tim Payne is back on his feet, so that's good news. Brandon O'Neill's just calming everybody down.
And here we go, here's a look at it. Tim Payne having to come across from a loose pass, and that's not a smart tackle. I'm not sure it's a red card, but it's definitely not a smart tackle from Trent Buhaja. Both feet off the air, and the left one definitely aiming skyward.
Yeah, I think yellow card's clearly the right decision there. Pleased that we can play on with no further ado. Yeah, but Trent Buhaja might think twice before he leaves his feet again in this match.
I think he can chalk that one up to a striker's challenge, Jason.
Manabu Saito gets the approval of his teammates for sticking tight to Callan Elliott over there. 10 minutes to go, plus stoppages in the first half. Not too much in the way of clear-cut chances in this one.
I think Arthur Pappas will be the happier of the two coaches, seeing his team control large parts of this game through possession. They've looked dangerous once they've got that ball into Angus Thurgate and Brandon O'Neill. And the front line is definitely always on shoulders, always looking for that ball in behind, constantly creating tension.
Haven't seen Soterio quite as much recently, but he's on the ball now. Goes behind Thurgate, and maybe there's a bit of a mini break on here, although only Ball and Zavada are forward. Zavada heads off towards the right. Gets it. Can he get it out from under his feet? Yeoman goes to deck. Zavada pulls it back. They're back in numbers. David Ball, who can he set up? Yansas! Off the post. Kraev, he can't poke it in. Newcastle escape.
Well, we said they were controlling the game. They've just self-inflicted. Newcastle Jets gave away the ball in the middle. Really not much danger, but the Phoenix front two created a chance. And they've got Jack Duncan the post. And then a scrambling clearance to thank for not going behind. Just said Arthur Pappas will be happy. He'll be pulling his hair out about that one.
That'll give Wellington a little bit of confidence. Absolutely as close as they've come to troubling Jack Duncan. Thurgate read that one well, and he might be able to turn attack and defence into attack. Rather can't. Saito is quick, but not that quick.
And here we go. Here's the chance. It's a great run from Zavada. He realises ball's hitting left. He goes right. Good pass to find Zavada. Waits for Yeoman to bite. He does. Gets his head up. And this is sloppy from Thurgate. That's the second mistake of that phase. And Yansas goes keeper's side. Allows Jack Duncan to get a big left hand on it. I think he could have opened up and gone for the far post there.
A yellow card coming the way of David Ball here for presumably dissent or kicking the ball away. So David Ball is in the notebook as well, but he's off and running again because Zavada's picked up a loose pass.
Well, it's a poor finish to the first half for Newcastle Jets. Taking their foot off the accelerator here.
Moragas wins a throw off Dane Ingham. Fourth yellow card of the season for David Ball. It has been issued for dissent, we're told. Sas and Kraev combine well. Boshidek Kraev across the 6-yard area. Zavada thought about going for it, but then left it to Callan Elliott. And he's fouled over there by Saito, so Wellington with a bit of a wind in their sails as we approach the 40-minute mark.
Well, they're starting to stretch their wings, the Wellington Phoenix. Great work from Kraev. Good combination play with Sas. And Zavada just simply couldn't get away from Hoffman. A lovely little pull of Oscar Zavada there to ensure that Zavada wasn't free at that back post. And then here's the foul given away from Saito. Jan Sas now more of an angle to get this dangerous left foot around the ball.
5 yellow shirts to aim at in the area for either Jan Saas or Callan Elliott if he wants to wrap a right foot around this one.
The back post is open. Look for either Crave or Zavada to try and occupy the space. As we have to wait now for Sean Evans.
Sean Evans happy. Saas lines it up. Plenty of elevation on the delivery. Dropped by Jack Duncan and poked in to the back of the net by Callan Elliott. It is a first A-League goal for the fullback. Fresh back from suspension and into the back of the net. And Wellington lead.
Well, Jack Duncan's asking, where's the foul? He's received a yellow card from Sean Evans. But that's the 4th mistake from Jack Duncan that has led to goals in the last month, all from crosses. You can see the frustration initially. Crave is going for the ball. Duncan doesn't get that knee up, doesn't give himself protection, drops to Callan Elliott, and he slams that one into the back of the net. The Wellington Phoenix player that's often been the creator, the provider, gets one himself.
A first A-League goal in game number 39 for the Wellington Phoenix for Callan Elliott. There are a number of players in this team who were sitting on a duck egg at the start of the season in terms of the number of goals they'd scored. Alex Roof has got his. Callan Elliott now has his. Tim Payne is looking nervously over his shoulder at the likes of Josh Laws, perhaps. But Callan Elliott with the game's opening goal. It's an unlikely source, perhaps, but Wellington won't mind that at all. Sean Evans wants to have a word with Alex Roofer after that challenge. Dane Ingham really just wanted to get on with it.
Well, so does Tim Payne. He's very unimpressed with the way in which his skipper has given away a cheap free kick. And that's frustrating play. We've seen the dangerous set pieces, particularly at the end of the half, for the Wellington Phoenix up the other end, and Newcastle looking to replicate it.
They take it quickly. Grozos. Worked out okay for Callan Elliott on the penalty spot. He hacks it clear. So we mentioned the importance of the game's first goal. Wellington Phoenix have now scored the first goal 15 times this season. Newcastle have now conceded first 11 times, and they haven't won when conceding first. They've drawn 2 and lost 8 of the 10 games in which they've fallen 1-0 behind. But Wellington have won just 6 of the 14 in which they've gone 1-0 up.
We're not done yet, folks.
Lucas Moragas thought about a ball back to his goalkeeper for a second and thought better of it. One little layer of this, Jacob, that we probably need to keep an eye on is Oscar Zavada. He's on 4 yellow cards currently and has already been involved in a few skirmishes with opposition players. Wellington can ill afford to lose Oscar Zavada to a 5th yellow card for next Sunday's match against Sydney FC at Eden Park.
Absolutely right. Sydney FC themselves have got a tricky fixture to navigate in the Big Blue. And the Wellington Phoenix are starting to stack up these niggly late challenges. They're completely unnecessary, and I'm sure Ufuk Tale is wanting his side to go into the break ahead, and they can't give away unnecessary free kicks.
Ingham. Yeoman.
The other point, Jason, is that if Oscar Zavada does find himself on the sidelines, the Phoenix do lose that physical presence that creates variation in their game.
Yeah, there's no obvious replacement for Oscar Zavada. Oscar Van Hattem is probably the closest. O'Neill. Good run from Bahagia, but he's been forced into a corner. What can he win for his side? He'll win a throw. Good industry, as always, from Trent Bahaja.
Showing good understanding today down this right-hand side with Dane Ingham in particular. It's not necessarily the vertical exchange from them, but the horizontal one, if you want to talk about lanes on a football field. Either Ingham goes wide and then Bahaja comes inside, or vice versa.
Ingham to Saterio, and he'll win a corner. Joshua Saterio. Tim Payne, well aware of the danger that Saterio, his former teammate, presents. Another corner coming the way of the Jets.
And there we go, Dane Ingham wide. Saterio cuts inside. That ball in behind the Phoenix back line. Payne that time able to recover.
Into what will be a minimum of 2 extra minutes at the end of the first half. Grozos sizing up the set-piece situation. Wooten gets it away. Thurgate. He did the first part of that really well, bringing it down on his chest, sizing up the left-footed volley. Alex Thurgate not quite able to find the target.
Did fall nicely to him. Scott Wooten that time getting the ball up and away from the Wellington Phoenix. Falls to Thurgate on the edge of the box. Probably wanted it on his favoured right foot.
Such an important part of this Newcastle side, Alex Thurgate. Angus Thurgate, my apologies, Angus Thurgate. Just huge part of their engine room, and pops up with goals. Plays just about every minute.
Well, if I'm Ufuk Tale, although we're in stoppage time, I'm telling Tim Payne to drop this one in exactly the same spot that Jan Saas put it before. Big physical presence for the Wellington Phoenix up now. And Jack Duncan has already demonstrated that vulnerability under the high ball.
Two-man wall, Bahaja and Saito. Tim Payne and Jan Saas. It is going to be Tim Payne. He does drop it over that side. Zavada got a head on it. It's behind for a corner.
Oh, and Sean Evans has got the hands up here. We saw the immediate reaction from Zavada and Crave. They think an arm has been raised and the ball's hit it. Here we go. A bit wider and higher that time from Tim Payne, and Thurgate's arm is away from the body. That would be harsh, though, from my point of view. We probably need a better angle to be comprehensive, but we're stopped for a VAR review.
Yeah, Kate Jakowitz is our video assistant referee today. She's having a look at this and will communicate her findings to referee Sean Evans.
Oh, and the long walk to halfway begins.
So, Kate Jakowitz has said to Sean Evans, there's something you might want to have a look at here. It's the raised arm by Angus Thurgate. So it's come back off Zavada's head and hit his left arm. Is it unnatural?
Well, the arm is away from the body, but I'm not sure there's much that Thurgate can do there. For me, that arm is in a natural position. Yes, it makes the silhouette, if you want to call it that, of the player bigger. And Zavada's quite clearly trying to get that ball back into the 6-yard box to find a teammate. And the Phoenix did have a number there. Evans is having a few looks at it, though.
Let's see what he has decided. Sean Evans awards a penalty. I think that's pretty tough on Angus Thurgate.
I think potentially that's where the rule needs to be reviewed. I'm sure Sean Evans has got this one technically correct, as informed by the VAR, but this reference to a natural position, it's a bit artificial from my point of view, Jason, because I'm not sure what Angus Thurgate is supposed to do there.
I agree, Jacob. He can't jump with his arms down by his side, surely. As you jump, your arms naturally, and that's the word, naturally come up. And I think it's harsh.
And if that's the case, Jason, as we wait for the penalty to be taken, I think you just make it a strict liability offence. Any contact with the arm below the shoulder inside the penalty box becomes a penalty. Just be honest about it.
Oscar Zavada has the chance in the shadows of half-time to double Wellington's money from the penalty spot. He's scored one and missed one from the penalty spot this season.
There is no guarantee for Ufuk Talay here. The Phoenix have not been good from 12 yards.
Zavada against Duncan. The pole is on a roll. 11 now for Oscar Zavada, and Wellington 2-0 ahead.
Well, somewhere Jeremy Brockie is getting nervous. He's looking over his shoulder, and he can see the pole advancing. It comes from this free kick. Tim Payne hangs it up to the back post. Zavada's trying to get it back across goal. Thurgate is trying to defend, results in the penalty, and that is smashed down Route 1. No doubt about that one.
Well, Oscar Zavada said pre-season that his goal for goals was double figures. 11 now, that matches the number Tom Ahmed scored, the Israeli, in the 2020-2021 season. Another one, and he matches the likes of Shane Smeltz, Roy Krishna, Uli Davila, who all scored a dozen at various times. That is the last action of this first half, and Newcastle will feel as though things haven't gone their way at all. They were good, very, very good for large periods of that match. But the Phoenix have done a bit of a smash and grab at half-time here. The Phoenix lead Newcastle 2-0.
No mai hoki mai. Welcome back into Sky Stadium, Te Whanganui-a-Tara, Wellington. We are celebrating Pride Round in the A-League here in Wellington. And we are also celebrating not one, but 2 Wellington Phoenix goals. The home side, after 4 matches in Australia, 2 goals to the good against the Newcastle Jets. Still 45 minutes to come. We don't want to celebrate too early. Annalie Longo, who's alongside me for this one. Annalie, what a curious first half that was. For the Lions' share of it, Newcastle Jets were just choking the life out of the Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an arm wrestle out there. I think for the first 35 minutes, Newcastle looked to be in control. You know, they had possession of the ball. They were pinning back the Phoenix side. In that last 10 minutes, the crowd got them behind it, a couple of goals, and all of a sudden the game changes.
Yeah, and how did it change? Let's find out with these goals. Yeah, it's incredible what happens when all of a sudden you find a way through this Newcastle press, and a delivery from Jan Saas, and Bojidar Kraev making a nuisance of himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So a dangerous delivery in here. It is Duncan that comes, that doesn't quite deal with that delivery as it comes into the box. And then again, Maraga's first goal in the A-League, and what a moment for him. And yeah, set the Phoenix on fire.
Yeah, and then an interesting one. And I think a lot of people will say Thurgate's been hard done by here. The hand in a natural or unnatural position doesn't matter. Sean Evans, who loves the Wellington Phoenix, I might add, he awards the penalty. Zavada, he does what he does best.
Yeah, absolutely. Zavada getting his 11th goal of the season. You know, I think it was a little bit controversial. It's always a tough call. It's gone to VAR and they've made the decision. I think when we look back, we're all a bit nervous when the Phoenix pick up a penalty. Unfortunately, missing a few throughout the season. But yeah, Zavada doing his job, and 2-0 the Phoenix up.
Fascinating looking at these statistics here, Annalie. The possession is actually in favour of the Knicks, given all of that domination from the Jets in the first 30-35 minutes of the game. And when you look at the fouls, the Jets have conceded more, and we've produced more shots at goal. Didn't see that coming with 10 minutes to go in this first half.
Yeah, I think coming into the break, I think that first 35 minutes, I thought Newcastle did look composed. I think they were, you know, finding O'Neill and Thurgate in the middle of the pitch. They were, you know, spraying it wide. And I thought, you know, the Phoenix were in trouble. But, you know, the game's never done until it's done. Phoenix got a bit of momentum. 2 set pieces, you could say. 2 good deliveries into the box. And they find themselves 2-0 at half-time.
Well, what about that Newcastle Jets press? For most of the first 45 minutes, they were doing their best impression of a boa constrictor. They were choking the life out of the Wellington Phoenix, making them play from deep, and unsuccessfully as well.
Yeah, and that's what we expected from Papa's team coming out. They stepped on high. You see that back four nice and high, even above the halfway line. Just see how congested and compact they were trying to make the pitch, and they were turning over a lot of ball in that first 35 minutes. I think it took to the 36th minute they came through. They broke the press, and then you saw the first chance for the Wellington Phoenix. So it's going to take bravery, and I think the Phoenix, when they have showed it, I think they've looked dangerous. They've broken that press, and then there's all that space to play into, which they'll find themselves creating more opportunities going forward.
Yeah, Annalie, you talk about breaking the press. Well, let's have a look at that vision. And this is how. This is basically the catalyst for all the good that came after it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a good ball in behind there. And then you've got the danger man in the back, Zavada, towards the back post, just peeling off shoulders there. Unfortunately, the delivery not coming in. But I think it came away from a Newcastle error. So giving the ball away in the middle of the pitch, they were able to counter-attack break quickly. And then you get the danger man in the box and getting deliveries in there. And then Zavada, obviously, looking dangerous. We've got ball, Sass, hitting off the post. And I think it came to the 36th minute we got our first opportunity on goal.
Yeah, Kraev, he almost has to do better in that moment, doesn't he? He's just on his heels, just set back on his heels and doesn't make the most of that opportunity, Annalie.
Yeah, possibly could have become a little bit quicker. It's dropped to his feet, he's taken a touch, and unfortunately leaning back he slips and can't quite get the contact he was after on that one.
So what happens in the second 45 here? Because obviously Newcastle Jets have almost thrown the kitchen sink at the Phoenix. How do they alter what they do? Jacob Spooner was talking about a change in formation to start this one, which worked with great effect. What does Arthur Papas do at half-time to inspire the Jets to greatness?
I think the way they came out was very good. I think if they can, find those middleman, third gate in particular, and spread the ball wide, I think Saito and Saito, the Japanese international out wide, look dangerous. So if they can get balls out there and deliveries into the box, I think they'll have a few more opportunities. But for me, they're probably aware that the Phoenix have been guilty of giving away, 2-goal leads, 1-goal leads. So I think, in saying that the Phoenix, are comfortable at present, but they are guilty of giving away, these leads going into the break. So it's going to be a big half for both teams.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we spoke about in the pre-game, finding that consistency, something they really need to do. They had an up and down tour of Australia across that 4-match streak. The next 4 games for the Wellington Phoenix, 3 of which are at home. They need to take these commanding positions and make them count, Annalie.
Absolutely. We spoke about how important the next 2 weeks are, in particular, obviously 5th, 6th, 7th teams playing off each other and, all within points of each other of making that top 6 finals position. So it's so important. Big half of both teams going out here for Newcastle and the Knicks.
We've just seen Ollie Sale, Clayton Lewis, and now Nixie. Nixie's staying put. Clayton Lewis and Ollie Sale away at the end of the season. Remember, after this one, we've got the Knicks up against the Raw in the A-League women's competition. But for right here, right now, it's 2-0. Wellington Phoenix over Newcastle Jets in the A-League men's competition. Can they push on? Can they get on with the job and make sure that they stay in touch with the leaders in this competition? Don't go anywhere. Live coverage of the Phoenix and the Jets follows this on Sky Sport.
2 goals to the good. They were late strikes too. The first from Callan Elliott, his first for the club, and then a somewhat controversial penalty awarded, courtesy of VAR and Sean Evans having a discussion. Oscar Zavada, making no mistake, his 11th goal of an increasingly prolific season. And the Phoenix 2 to the good at half-time.
Both goals coming off the back of really needless free kicks conceded by the Newcastle Jets. The Wellington Phoenix themselves were guilty of this, but Newcastle simply did not defend the set pieces after they conceded the fouls. And that really is the reason that the Wellington Phoenix have gone into the break 2-0 up. Newcastle controlled much of that first half, but the Wellington Phoenix took their chances.
It's fourth official Lachlan Keevers explaining a couple of things to the Newcastle coaching team. Oscar Zavada, 11 goals now. He's getting into the territory where you start looking at the most goals by a Phoenix player in an A-League season. Roy Krishna, 19 in 2018-19. That seems an awfully long way away. Jeremy Brockie, 16 goals in 2012-13.
I don't think we'll see him catching the Phoenix's Fijian flyer, but Jeremy Brockie can see Zavada coming over the horizon at the moment. That seems realistic to me.
For the Newcastle Jets, they've got to find a way back. Without Becca Mikkeltadze, their leading goal scorer, the likes of Bahagia and Soterio, and perhaps off the bench, someone like Becca Dartsmelia might be able to provide a spark.
They just need a moment, Jason Pine.
Second half underway. Wellington Phoenix in their yellow and black, kicking from left to right on our screens towards the southern end of Sky Stadium. Newcastle in their blue strip, heading back towards the north. Oscar Zavada with an early opportunity in the penalty area, pulls it back. Ehrman calmly chests it back to his goalkeeper, but the Wellington Phoenix out of the blocks early in the second half.
In terms of approach, I think we can expect Arthur Papas to double down on this attacking football that Newcastle are famous for. The consequence of that, though, Jason, is that there will be larger spaces for the Phoenix to exploit on the counter-attack. And when you've got the industrious David Ball and the hulking, energetic presence of Zavada, we've already seen it, really. It is dangerous.
Here come the Jets with their first opportunity in the second half. All the way along the carpet from Jason Hoffman. He has scored a brace and a goal against Wellington Phoenix, Jason Hoffman. First game of the 2009-10 season, a 3-2 win for Newcastle over the Phoenix in the Hunter Valley. 2 goals for Jason Hoffman that day.
Oh, what a servant of the A-League the Hoff has been. Melbourne City and Newcastle Jets.
Another free kick coming the way of Wellington. Brandon O'Neill not necessarily in full agreement with Sean Evans on that one. Wellington underway quickly again.
The Phoenix can't slow the ball down here. They can expect Newcastle to press. In the first half in particular, they're quite lethargic moving that ball around, and they did play into pockets that did have a number of players from Newcastle. We saw them profit, though, when they moved that ball quickly and bravely along the back line, getting either out or in front of the press.
Wellington's approach will be very interesting to watch at 2-0 up. There are a couple of ways you can go. You can sit on what is a reasonably comfortable buffer, or you can try and increase it. Oscar Zavada onside for the meantime. Flag up now from Mark Rule on this near side, so Oscar Zavada had strayed offside, as it turns out.
Zavada's been offside a number of times today, but you can see what he's trying to do, exploit the space, peeling off a centre-back to get behind the other. And the Phoenix are mindful of those runs and looking to find him. I think Ufuk Tale's going to be looking for his team to make a statement about mentality. They're 2-0 up, they've got this buffer. We've seen them be tentative in the past. He won't want that today.
Thurgate. Once again, Wellington just letting Newcastle have it as they approach halfway and then putting the press on. Thurgate again looking to get something going for the Jets. Ingham. Tried to find Thurgate, but cut out, and in comes Yeoman. Wins it back. Saito. Sass having to defend. Still a good position for Newcastle. Hoffman. O'Neill. Thurgate lets it run. Bahaja. Saito with the shot. Given away by Jenkinson, who's now going to have to sprint back because David Ball is herring off down the left. Kraev takes over. Daningham is back with him, stride for stride.
Battle of the Giants down Newcastle's left-hand side.
Forward by Rufer, and Jenkinson able to mop up at the back. Newcastle looking to pass out past the press, and they've done it pretty well. Grozos has it. Buhaja. Saito's in the area. Can he find him? He can! And he puts it away on his starting debut. And Newcastle are back in the contest, courtesy of their Japanese acquisition, Manabu Saito. Ollie Sale looked like he might have been able to smother it, but Saito had other ideas. And all of a sudden, the complexion of this match changes.
Newcastle Jets have exploded into the second half. This all comes from Angus Thurgate. He gets the ball round into Grozos, and then it's a case of the Newcastle Jets exploiting the space and the lack of numbers for the Wellington Phoenix. Space in behind. Trent Bahaja looks up, knows Saito's going to be charging into that back post, finds him with the plum. 2-1. Hope for the Newcastle Jets.
Hope indeed. More than. Newcastle know that they can score goals against Wellington. We know how often they've done that in recent matches. 13 in the last 4 games against Wellington for Newcastle, so they continue that good goal scoring record. Early in the second half too, which gives them a massive boost with plenty of time remaining. Again, Wellington fans start to wonder about the loss of points from winning positions. Are they going to be in that position again? Here's Jan Sass. Clever pass for Moragas.
Great work from Saito. Got the important touch and then a lovely second to find a teammate.
It's back on Wellington's side though now. Moragas. Hoffman missed his header. Sass will jog across and regather. Rufer. Moragas on the far side. Back across goal. Jack Duncan secure with that one.
Well, there's 4 making the charge forward here from Newcastle. Looking to repeat.
Across the 6-yard area it goes. Well, Arthur Pappas will be delighted with the way Newcastle have come out in the second half. Stung by that penalty at the end of the first half, but they pulled one back, and it's compelled a substitution for Wellington. Costa Barbarouses is going to make his entrance. Haven't seen Costa for a little while after a hamstring injury. David Ball gets a seat on the bench, and Costa Barbarouses is going to have 40 minutes or so out there.
I don't think David Ball's too happy about coming off. Not sure it's just at the decision, but it might be the way in which the Wellington Phoenix started the second half. Concession of that goal in particular.
So a spring in the step, no doubt, of the Newcastle Jets, courtesy of Manabu Saito. A first A-League goal for the Japanese striker, and it could not have come at a better time for his new side, who'll come again now through Hoffman. Saito again, this time looking to turn provider, perhaps. Hoffman's continued his run. Saas has matched him. They can't get it away, though, and Newcastle will have another opportunity. Clever. Josh Soterio looks to curl one. Didn't quite get the angles right, Josh Soterio, but the intent is there for all to see from the visitors.
That was very much a shot that became a cross. David Ball making way for Costa Barbarouses. Frustration, I think, was very much from the circumstance, not the decision to come off. Expecting Costa to get around about 30 minutes today. He's going to end up getting a little bit more. First game back from that hamstring injury that's kept him out.
A-League game number 288 today for Costa Barbarouses. Draws them level with three fairly iconic names in the A-League men's. Matt Simon, Eugene Galekovic and Tarek Elrich have all played 288. Costa Barbarouses joins them in that club of four on that appearance number. Grozos. Good run by Costa Grozos. Did that take a flick off Callan Elliott? It didn't, and there was no foul either. Wry smile from Elliott. Grozos pleads his case. Goal kick is the result.
Well, Grozos can't understand it. He's knocked the ball beyond Callan Elliott, looking to run round him, and Callan Elliott has simply stepped across and chopped him down. It did look rather clear-cut, but no whistle forthcoming.
Strong header from Rufer over the top of Angus Thurgate, but they're back into it, Newcastle, and back into it with some style. Bahagia, Orton with a vital intervention because Saito was lurking again if that ball had gone past.
Well, this time it's Soterio, drops off the line, gets into that pocket in front of the Phoenix back four, and once he gets his head on a swivel, he's looking for that ball in between centre back and full back. So dangerous for Newcastle Jets.
Short corner this time. Grozos. Thurgate shapes to cross, does cross. Jason Hoffman heads it back onto the roof of the net. Ollie Sale wasn't sure. A looping header from Jason Hoffman.
That became a dangerous situation. No one at the back post. I think Hoffman is looking to get the ball back across goal. You can see his Newcastle teammate standing there. Skids off the head and starts heading towards Ollie Sale's crossbar.
They appealed for a corner, did Newcastle. I don't think Ollie Sale did get a touch on that. It's found its way to Ugarkovic. Oscar Zavada is down again for Wellington. And this is all getting a bit scrappy, and Newcastle might yet again take advantage through Joshua Soterio. Numbers forward for Newcastle. Saito again. Goodness me, he almost got a brace. He has won a corner though. And Newcastle, what a first 15 minutes or so in this second half.
Well, Saito can't quite believe it, neither can I. He's bearing down on goal. Ollie Sail heading across. He's got that near post to aim at, but it's an important intervention from Callan Elliott.
So another corner for Newcastle. It's going to find its way across to Bahaja from the Hoffman header. O'Neill. Jenkinson. Grosos's cross. It's going to drift past everybody, and Jan Saas should be able to let that one roll over the line for a throw. Chance to catch the breath for the Wellington Phoenix.
Well, momentum very much with the Newcastle Jets here as we head towards the 60-minute mark. Looking Phoenix looking to contain and consolidate, but really not being able to keep the Jets at arm's length at the moment.
Zavada back on his feet and wins possession for Wellington. Moragas. Can he hurt his parent club? Drives deep into enemy territory. Cross towards the far post, headed away by Yerman. Barbarousis is there. Elliott, they're calling for it at the far post. Rufa. Kraev, clever, gets away from Ingham. Goes to Deck, and it's all ball, says Sean Evans. I'm happy with it. Here come the Jets again. We're end-to-end. Bahaja tries to stand up. Tim Payne. It's there on the edge for Grossos. Costa Grossos, saved by Sale.
Big save, big save from Ollie Sale. The Phoenix are floundering, and he comes up with a big left hand.
Costa Grossos had a good side of goal there. Here's the foul, or what Wellington Phoenix thought was a foul on Kraev.
We've certainly seen those given, but the Newcastle Jets don't wait for you. They're down the other end in a flash. And Costa Grossos gets it onto his left foot, trying to find the corner of Ollie Sale's net. Well read by the Wellington Phoenix custodian.
Just the one goal so far this season for Costa Grossos. He thought he had a second there. Saas somehow manages to retain possession of the football. He might not now, though. Taken off him. Wellington are preparing another sub. It's Josh Laws, I think, is going to be introduced.
This could be for Scott Wooden. They definitely need some energy in that back line at the moment. It's languishing at times under the pace and pressure from Newcastle.
Battle goes on their far side between Ingham and Kraev. That's been a nice little subplot today. Ugarkovic tried to free up Barbarousis. Thurgate. Newcastle will absolutely believe they've got what it takes to get something out of this, if not all 3 points. Kraev has fouled on the edge of his own penalty area. A chance for the sub to come.
And it's Jan Saas making his way towards the sideline. Actually thought he'd be taken off when Costa Barbarousis was coming on. And Josh Laws is going to be introduced, so it'll be interesting to see what happens from here, because this could signal a formation change from Ufukale. We might see a back three.
Yeah, Josh Law's absolutely a centre-back in Ufuk Tale's regular formation. Keep an eye on what they do in and out of possession with Josh Law's now into the game. Looks like they have gone to a back three or back five out of possession. Laws to the left of Scott Wootton, Tim Payne on the other side. Moragas and Elliott, the fullbacks. That one's fallen the way of Barbarouses. Zavada is off on a run. Callan Elliott is the furthest forward. Jenkinson all the way with Zavada. And shoulder to shoulder. Carl Jenkinson, really good from him, but he's given it back to Rufer. That looked like a foul. Oh, Alex Rufer. He's going all South American on us. And unfortunately gives the ball away.
Well, this will be about who blinks first defensively now. This is about discipline, making sure you make those recovery runs. Don't allow the opponent space. You can see it's been exploited more regularly by Newcastle Jets, but definitely by the Wellington Phoenix as well.
Here they come again, Newcastle. It hits the heel of Joshua Saterio, just as it looked as though he might be in a position to send one goalwards. Moragas, gut-busting run down the left. Ingham with him all the way. And it is a foul by Lucas Moragas on Dane Ingham.
And Yellow Fever feel this is one of the calls that the Wellington Phoenix didn't receive from Sean Evans. Ingham gets his body across and then draws the foul. Arthur Pappas is starting to play every pass, every touch now. So animated down on the sideline. It's almost artistic, Jason. He's painting with the team.
Yeah, one of the very best going around, Arthur Pappas. Here's Bahagia. Grozos, he might line up another shot. Instead he slides it forward and is cut out by Wootton. Zavada can't control it. It'll come back through Ingham. Thurgate can't control. Saito, and the flag is up on the far side for offside, presumably against Angus Thurgate.
Well, here's the gamble. Arthur Pappas is allowing his back to stay deep. And they're up against Oscar Zavada. He's committing his fullbacks, his midfield forward. At times, Newcastle are sitting with a front four almost. Kostas Grozos is dropping from that high line to get into the pockets. It is bearing fruit at the moment, but a sucker punch could come. And that man in so much form, Oscar Zavada, could provide it.
Saito has been very good on his first start for Newcastle. Here's Hoffman, who's become more energetic in the second half. Bahagia isn't going to haul that one in, and Moraga should be able to clear it. Josh Laws with his first involvement. Ball given away. Thurgate. Saterio. But a penalty area pinball. Hoffman. Saito. Good cross in. And up and over his own crossbar from Lucas Moragas. It's a Jets corner.
I think Moragas gets the touch and puts this up onto the Newcastle player, but Sean Evans hasn't seen it that way. This is what Newcastle Jets love doing, particularly against the Phoenix, camping around that 18-yard box. They have scored so many goals in the last 4 fixtures against Wellington, 8. With a number of those coming at 60 minutes or beyond.
They will hope there are more. Grozos takes. Headed goalwards again by Hoffman, but no power. Ollie Sale comes to the edge of his penalty area and hurls one forward for Barbarouses to chase. Dane Ingham gets there ahead of his All Whites teammate and gets a shove in the back.
Well, his dad, former Auckland Aces coach, Tony Sale, would probably like the line, but not the length of that one. Just a bit beyond Costa Barbarouses.
Does show that there's still intent there for Wellington to try and score a third, which would again change the complexion of the match. We are into the final quarter of this one. Thurgate. Pretty crucial foot in there as he was heading goalwards once again. You can just feel how important this all is, how precious a lead is, how precious another goal would be for Wellington, but how crucial it might be for Newcastle.
Wellington at the moment with the 3 points. They can look up and kick down at Newcastle if they deny them anything further here.
Kraev, good perseverance. Bojidar Kraev, Costa Barbarosis. Jack Duncan well positioned.
I think Costa would have liked that a little bit earlier with more angle to work with. Did get squeezed defensively by Hoffman there. Ended up shooting straight at Duncan.
Real end-to-end stuff here. Thurgate. Ingham and Grosos, and now O'Neill. Yerman, is he going to let fly? No. Saito is his target. Into Hoffman. And behind by his former teammate, Steven Ugarkovic, for another Newcastle Jets corner.
Well, as play developed there, there was only one man for the Wellington Phoenix outside the 18-yard box. They are going deeper and deeper. They're being forced back and back by Newcastle.
Brandon O'Neill. He thought about a shot, but then thought better of it. Ingham. The cross is good. Thurgate brings it down. Back across the 6-yard area. Saito!
They're banging it on the door. Can they kick it down? The Wellington Phoenix switch off. Thurgate drops off Ugarkovic. It falls to Saito. And he puts that one into Rosed. Well, he's wearing the mouth guard, Saito. Newcastle are looking for that knockout punch. They've got their opponent reeling.
Yeah, Wellington a little bit on the ropes here, and another free kick conceded now. So who likes the look of this? Costa Grosos does. He pushes Ugarkovic away.
We've seen Clayton Lewis score a goal from around about this distance for the Wellington Phoenix earlier in the season. It's a nice distance. They're not trying to be forced to get the ball up and down underneath the crossbar. Can hit it with power.
It is going to be Grosos by the looks of it. Brandon O'Neill has left him to it. Up and over the wall into Ollie Sale's right. Seems the most obvious. Here's Grosos. Tipped over by Sale.
Well, I'm not sure Ollie Sale wanted to get his left hand up and get contact with the ball there, but he didn't know if it was dropping below the crossbar. Gets a good side of it. Two central from Grosos there. Can't take the risk. That hits the crossbar, can go anywhere.
A 7th corner for Newcastle. That one didn't work out as planned as Callan Elliott gets in the way. The Newcastle Jets substitutes in the pink bibs watch on, waiting for their opportunity to get involved. No subs as yet for the Jets.
This is telling the story of the match. We've seen there Newcastle have more than double the entries into the 18-yard box that Wellington Phoenix have, and going close to double the crosses as well. There's a gravitational pull towards Ollie Sale's goal at the moment.
Yeah, Wellington would love a bit of territory, and just to ease the pressure on them, even if it's only momentarily. The momentum of this game is well and truly with the Newcastle Jets. A flick on, though, and it cost Barbarouses is offside. He doesn't know. He thinks he scored. He hasn't.
It was close but clear, and he was right in front of assistant Mark Rule. The flag went up straight away. Yellow Fever asking for VAR, and that's the initial ball forward from Wooten, and you can see there as Zavada gets the touch. Barbarouses is the wrong side of Hoffman, but that, as we said, is the gamble that Newcastle are making at the moment. Leaving that space in behind. Barbarouses and Zavada look dangerous.
Yeah, eagle-eyed from Mark Rule, and bang on. Saito. This is found his way to Bahaja. His shot wasn't what he was hoping for. Still there for the Jets, though. Man goes down in the penalty area. That was Angus Thurgate. He thought he might have been clipped maybe by Josh Laws. Referee Sean Evans not interested.
As we head towards the last 15 minutes, there's one player that I think needs to become more influential for the Wellington Phoenix. That's Steven Ugarkovic. He needs to get on the ball, move the ball side to side, deny Newcastle possession.
Man down for the Jets. Might be Saito, I think. This is not what Arthur Pappas wants to see. Jason Hoffman believes that something untoward happened to his teammate.
Well, he's clutching the lower leg. That is dangerous, as we see here. As Tim Payne comes together with him. Well, Trent Bahaja goes down under Costa Barbarouses' challenge. And we'll restart with a free kick. Great leap from Tim Payne, good win. And I'm not sure, presuming there might be some sort of contact here, but that's a tangle of legs, there's nothing in that.
Good to see Manabu Saito back on his feet and in the penalty area. Another set-piece situation for Costa Grozos to address. Short one this time. Brandon O'Neill into the area, and it's just gone wide. That would have been an own goal. Or has it come off Soterio? Well, certain that had a yellow shirted player, but the replay will tell us.
It goes through a forest of legs. It looks like to hit Josh Laws and then Jason Hoffman, I can only presume. Can't tell definitively from that particular angle.
Those are the kind of shots that can go anywhere. Ollie Sale stranded by the change of direction of the football and just the wrong side of the post, and Brandon O'Neill's day is done. Great to see him back in the starting lineup. And Becca Dutsmelia is into the action, already a goal scorer against Wellington this season in spectacular fashion. Is he the man to provide the equaliser here?
Well, I was wondering when we were going to see him in need of a goal. He's already done so against the Wellington Phoenix. It was a wonderful strike. So if the Phoenix are sitting deep, if you can replicate that, there's every chance that Newcastle steals something here.
Yeah, it remains Dutsmelia's only goal of the season, but as you say, Jake, it was an absolute cracker. Wellington with a rare period of possession in recent times. Rufa looks up, sees Moragas, but goes the other way towards Barbarouses. So Wellington just getting a bit of confidence through some possession. They pass around the Newcastle Jets press for the meantime. Laws now looking for the run of Zavada. He looked very well advanced, doesn't matter. Jack Duncan's out very smartly.
A respite there for the Wellington Phoenix, but Newcastle immediately getting their hands back on the ball. Head down the Wellington Phoenix's end.
Here's Dustin Elliott with the first opportunity to get involved in an attacking sense. Little 1-2 here. Callan Elliott was there ahead of Saito, but he's going to have trouble getting rid of that. Hoffman's got it off the chest. Wellington might scramble it away. They call for handball and they'll get it.
Got another change coming. Steins entering the play. Saito has left.
What an eye-catching starting debut for Manabu Saito. A goal and plenty of energy. His last act is to give away that free kick, but that won't blemish what's been a really good 80 minutes from him. Daniel Steins, as you say, Jacob, into the action for the final 10 minutes. Barbarouses. Hoffman there ahead of him. Daniel Steins into the action with a free kick. Minutes gone in Wellington. I get the feeling it'll be a rather nervous removal of shirts by the Yellow Fever as they watch now. Grozos, Thurgate, Steins, Daniel Steins, nice reverse pass, Soterio. It's nearly but not quite for Newcastle.
There's certainly an energy and enthusiasm within Newcastle to attack and to get at the Wellington Phoenix. It's not quite the same level of energy to defend. You can understand why they've done an enormous amount of work collectively today to get back into this game. As we see their shirts off, being swung around the head along with a number of pride flags here at Sky Stadium today.
Yeah, Pride round here today, double header. Don't forget the Wellington Phoenix women against Brisbane Roar at the conclusion of this match. Costa Barbarouses is a lone ranger heading into a cul-de-sac there, but he's won a throw-in. Free kick the way of Wellington. So their approach here will be instructive. So the A-League's continuing their Pride celebration here today, representing football's ongoing commitment to making the sport accessible and inclusive for everybody. The aim of Pride Round, of course, to reduce discrimination, increase education and improve everybody's experience when playing or watching the game, so they're safe, included and welcomed. The Pride celebration, I know the Wellington Phoenix men's and women's players were very much looking forward to playing their part today. Ugarkovic. Thurgate gets it away. Rufer. Alex Rufer!
That one sailed high and wide from Rufer. Did well to work the opportunity, got on into his right foot. Didn't trouble Duncan.
Another change coming for Wellington. Dane Ingham makes way for Thomas Aquilina, a recent arrival from the Central Coast Mariners. He's already played once here this season in a 2-1 loss for the Mariners against Wellington. He's into the action with 7 minutes plus stoppages to try and make an impact from right back. Callan Elliott. Good strength from Callan Elliott under the pressure of Daniel Steins.
That'll be the tactic from the Wellington Phoenix. Slow the game down. Make Newcastle play from their own defensive third. I need to be mindful of Costa Barbarouses, though, who looks motivated and sharp. Already put the ball in the back of the net. But for the assistance flag.
Challenges flying in. And a couple of Newcastle players have run into one another by the looks of things. They're both back on their feet, thankfully. Bahaja. He squares it back. Tim Payne in a bit of trouble. Poked away, only as far as Grosos. He tried to find Soterio, but it was cleared. All hands on deck for Wellington, but Vladimir Kraev is going to draw a yellow card for Carl Jenkinson. He wasn't going to let the Bulgarian get away and picks up a yellow ticket for his intervention.
No argument from Jenkinson there. Knew what he was doing with deny Kraev. Further momentum, and he had Zavada through the central channel as well. Happily take the yellow card in that instance.
Yeah, just the third of the season for Carl Jenkinson, so no suspension problems for him. Ugarkovic. Barbarouses, who is looking to get involved more and more. We'll get on the end of this return pass from Moragas. Ugarkovic over towards Callan Elliott.
A game of chicken there. And Duncan, I feel, got rather fortunate.
Minutes plus stoppages for Wellington to hold on, for Newcastle to find an equaliser into the penalty area yet again.
This is where mentality becomes so important for Newcastle. They'll feel the weight of the clock. They're not only up against the Wellington Phoenix now, but time. And to continue doing things as Papas has planned here.
Here's Steins. What can he create down the left? He gets the cross, and it's a good one! And Bekadart Smelia couldn't quite get his body into position to direct the header goalwards. But a good cross, and there's confusion and frustration. Wharton and Laws in the centre of Wellington's defence.
Well, that's promising from Newcastle's point of view. The Phoenix players starting to argue with each other. Yellow Fever can sense the stress that is in this Wellington Phoenix team at the moment. They're raising their voices to get their boys over the line.
Rufer still full of running. Is this perhaps the moment? Alex Rufer blocked on the edge. Really good tackle by Yerman. And then a coming together of bodies here. Steins and Rufer, nothing doing there.
Alex Rufer waiting and waiting. I think he could have slipped in Costa Barbarouses to play with the fresher legs, and then just as Jenkinson had done, Alex Rufer wrestling Steins to the ground to deny an attack.
You can see the Wellington Phoenix women's side in the back of shot there, watching the last few minutes of this play out before they start preparing for their match against Brisbane Roar, urging their male counterparts to hold on. Thurgate just breezes past Zavada.
11 players in the Wellington Phoenix defensive third.
Back and forth by Newcastle, back and forth, probing for an opening. Steins, the cross is good, over the top of Bahagia. Was there a flick off a Wellington head? No. Trent Bahagia. Any contact there would have been challenging for Sale.
Well, Steins gets it onto his right foot and delivers into a very congested 18-yard box. Bahagia rose but just didn't have enough there to get a hit on the ball. And Josh Laws and Scott Wooten, they're trying to come up with the answers here. They can sense Newcastle. There's going to be one last push from Arthur Pappas' men.
The shape of the table could be anything after this game finishes. A Wellington win would put them 4 points ahead of Newcastle. A Newcastle win would put them ahead of Wellington. A draw, and they'd stay in this mid-table logjam. Barbarouses flies in. Rufa looking to find Zavada. Elliott battling. Steins takes it off him. Still there for Newcastle as they belt it forward. Wharton with the header. The 90 minutes have elapsed and we're going to have a minimum of 5 extra minutes here. Cry of appeals for a free kick not given.
What's going to win out? The Newcastle conviction or Wellington's resolve?
Everybody back for Wellington, everybody forward for Newcastle. Hoffman. Jenkinson. Rufa with the defensive header. Yearman, Newcastle's captain, what's he got? Calmly out to Steins. One of the extra 5 minutes has elapsed. Steins into the area. On the edge, the volley straight at Sale. Carl Jenkinson looking for what would have been his first A-League men's goal, and how crucial would it have been?
Good ball, dangerous ball into the box. Jenkinson, great control, gets that one on target. And Ollie Sale gratefully welcomes the ball into his arms.
Wellington without a shot on target in the second half. The Jets come again. Soterio lines it up. Darts Melia. And up and over she goes from the rampaging Thomas Aquilina.
And Sean Evans is telling the Wellington Phoenix players that he's stopped his watch. Of course, will be in his hands as the Phoenix are slowing the game down, bordering on time wasting now. They can see the finish line in sight.
Zavada is off on a run and he's onside this time. Only Barbarouses up with him. Looking for room in the penalty area. Oscar Zavada, and he's won aside a corner.
This is the wrong end of the field for the Newcastle Jets. And the Wellington Phoenix are in no hurry to get this ball back into play. I'd be very surprised if this ball finds its way into the 18-yard box. It looks like Ugarkovic and Barbarouses are going to shepherd it back into the corner from which it's going to come.
Urged on by the shirtless throng. Wellington Phoenix with 90 seconds to negotiate.
Well, they're going to have to contend with Wellington Phoenix's goal-scoring giant.
Newcastle win the throw, but they're 100 metres from where they need to be. Hoffman carves off a few of those. Kraev just looking for open spaces where Wellington can run Newcastle around. Down the left it goes. We're into the final minute of the minimum 5.
Zavada urging his troops on. Want to deny Newcastle the space. They can't concede here. Keep the ball down this end.
One last chance for the Newcastle Jets. Angus Thurgate drives them forward. Jenkinson is forward. Thurgate again. Another cross into the area. Elliott uncertain, but hacks it away. Double sub coming for Wellington, so that'll add some more seconds. It'll be a Wellington Phoenix debut for Nico Boxall. He becomes Wellington Phoenix player 169 for a few seconds anyway. Oscar Van Hattem is also being introduced. Boxall's on for Elliott, and one Oscar replaces another with Van Hattem on for Zavada.
This is quite simple. Another body for the box as Boxall heads towards his goalkeeper, and Van Hattem's pace is going to be utilised. They want to see energy from him. He has to run down everything now for the Wellington Phoenix to get over the line.
Still a chance for the Jets. Hoffman. Has he got the ability to hurl this in? He does. And it is a free kick the way of Wellington, and that whistle is about the sweetest sound they could hear right now.
And it hasn't taken Nico Boxall long. He's already squaring up to Matt German. A small but important touch there as Nico Boxall managed to get enough on that to stop the development of play for Newcastle Jets.
A quick check of the watch from Sean Evans. Still time to play as they appeal for a foul, but quickly sprint back into position. Whistle in the mouth. A precious, priceless, hard-fought, hard-earned 3 points for the Wellington Phoenix. How important might they be? The Jets gave it everything, but came up short. The Wellington Phoenix 2, the Newcastle Jets 1. Well, what a battle. What a battle. Backs to the wall for Ufuk Tale's men. Arthur Pappas and his travelling squad of wonderful, wonderful players not able to find an equalising goal. They dominated for large parts of that second half in particular. Joshua Soterio reacquaints himself with former teammates. But Wellington, with a stated aim of wins today and a win next week against Sydney, to really put themselves into top 4